Welcome back, everybody, to the Insightful Podcast. Today is episode 11. If you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, give this video a like, subscribe, and comment about any topics you would like to see in the future of me talking about. Also, the Spotify. In order for this podcast to grow, I do need some feedback on it. So, if you guys could review the podcast and answer the polls on it, that would help out greatly. That would help the podcast get out there more and more people can find it. Without further ado, today we are talking about self doubt. Recently, with the podcasts, I have been doing them with zero notes, zero type of script to follow, just everything off the dome, off the brain. So, self doubt is something that plagues many people's minds, especially myself. Growing up, I allowed what other people would say to me to haunt my mind and that would begin to become doubt. And that doubt would ruin me. It would stop me from trying anything new or putting an effort into things. I remember this one time, it was a very pivotal moment of mine. And it's funny that I still remember it till this day. I was in grade 3 and I went up to my teacher to ask a question about math. And when I asked this question, it was a pretty simple question, and I knew the answer, but I only went up to her because I was doubting myself. So I asked the question, and then she answered it for me. And the thing is at the time I was actually known in the class, at least by the teacher, that I was pretty good at math at the time. And she said to me, she's like, "Really, Anthony, you're asking me that question?" And then someone else began to laugh because they heard it. And that hit me hard. I remember going home that day and like that conversation repeating in my mind over and over again. And it's not the teacher's fault, in my opinion. She didn't know that it affected me that much. And I thought about it for like a week after that. And then I began to doubt myself with my tests, with my assignments, everything regarding math. Problem with self doubt is it starts to spiral. It could start with something small that you think won't affect you, but it will begin to spiral. I have always been a skinny kid my whole life. There was a long period of time that I had doubt that I would ever put on muscle or I could ever look the way I wanted to look. If I let that doubt stay in my mind and stay with me, I would have never started working out because I would have believed from the beginning that I could never achieve anything when it comes to working out. The self doubt could definitely ruin you, you know, especially for me as well. Another thing that used to bother me a lot was social anxiety. I had some type of form of social anxiety because when I would go into new groups of people, new settings, I'd be very nervous. I'd be very scared. And I would always doubt what I was going to say to the person. So that would put me in this type of paralysis before even starting a conversation. We've all felt this. There's people you want to go up to and speak to, but you begin to doubt that they would even want to talk to you. So you don't talk to them at all. That is a missed opportunity. A missed opportunity to get to know someone new, to maybe learn something new, to maybe have a good time conversating with someone that might be completely different from you. And it all relates back to doubt, doubting yourself, doubting that you could ever be something great, or doubting that you're even good enough. And this is a problem. A lot of people deal with this nowadays. You know, I remember I first started posting content on TikTok because I knew that no one would find me on TikTok because I was afraid of what people would think of me. And then it took me so long, even a couple months. It's been a couple months, 4 or 5 months since I started posting on Instagram. Before that, I was posting on TikTok for like 2 years, almost 2 years. And I never posted on Instagram because the people around me, the people I hung out with, friends, people from work, family, they all had me on Instagram. So I was afraid of what they thought of me if I started to post that stuff. Want to know what happened? I started posting consistently and I'm actually starting to gain some traction. Imagine if I did that 2 years ago, where I would be right now. If I didn't allow the doubt and the insecurities to plague my life, I could maybe be in a better spot at this current moment. But what happened? I let the doubt creep into my mind and I let the doubt, you know, go into me as a person and not allow me to try something new. And this is the problem. Growing up as a kid, I wasn't the best person. I was never a good person. I'd always make fun of others. I didn't treat people in a kind manner. And then there was a time where I doubted I could be something better, that I could treat other people differently. I remember the biggest thing to me that hit me was being a late teenager and people started to refer to me as nice, as a nice person. And maybe to the people closest to me, I could be being too harsh on myself, but I know myself from within that I wasn't a kind person. I was a very jealous person. I was very hateful, you know. I was I would find any reason to get into arguments or fights in elementary school with others. And then there was a point in time where I doubted that I could be someone better, a kinder, nicer person. But I don't know the exact time, but I decided to change myself in that regard and become more optimistic. Don't be jealous of other people's situations. Be my own person, be kind to others. And then once I did that, I had a new identity, the identity of a nice person. Who would have ever thought, right? And this is a constant form of building. It is getting rid of the self doubt that you will have in a certain aspect of your life and growing from it. And then once you grow, you get rid of that other self doubt, right? So as a tree grows, there's plenty of leaves, but a lot of leaves fall off the tree, but then new ones grow. It's the same concept, you know? Now I am doing this. I used to doubt myself about my physique. I used to doubt myself about who I was as a person and who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a kinder person, but would I ever achieve it? I thought I couldn't. I let that self doubt go and I moved on to the next thing. But this is the thing, guys. We need to start going into life understanding that we're going to go through these negative moments. These negative moments where we're going to be doubting ourselves in the new thing we try. Like I said before, I doubted myself with my physique. Would I ever have a good physique? Now I do not doubt myself at all. There's one day where I'm going to weigh 220 pounds. I'm going to be proud of the physique I made. I'm going to be the strongest that I want to be. I don't doubt that anymore. But guess what? Something new arises. Trying the social media thing, trying to get better in business, trying to learn business. This stuff I doubt myself about every single day. But will I let it stop me? No, because I've gone through this before and I know what's on the other end of it. This is the thing. We need to accept that our whole lives are going to be doubt. Our whole lives we're going to be doubting ourselves when we try something new. Or even when we're really good at something and something hits us and we wonder, am I actually meant to do this? And you start to maybe think about even quitting. When you start to think like this, understand, go into it before you even start saying to yourself, there's going to be a period of time where I'm going to doubt myself. But I will not let that stop me. I will just accept those feelings and understand that it happens to everyone. It's going to happen to me. And even when I get over this small period of doubt again, it's going to happen again. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. You know, I always wanted to be a more kind person, someone that is nice to people, someone that people want to be around. And I was able to achieve that. You know, you can't let that doubt stop you from becoming who you're meant to be. I personally don't want to grow older and look back on my life and say to myself, wow, there was a lot of things I wanted to try, but there was one roadblock, one bump in the road that I could never seem to go over. And that was the doubt of even starting something. Who you are now isn't who you have to be. Stop thinking about who you are now. That is the worst thing you could do. Is looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, what is this? Who am I? I do not want to be this person. And just meditating and thinking about that version of yourself. You need to start looking to the future. Have hope. The hope that you could be something greater than what you are right now. And it doesn't have to be anything monetary, anything physical. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be, the materialistic items you have. What it has to be is your character. We need to work on our character. Your character is the beginning of self-improvement. When I started self-improvement, it went like this. First, it was the physique. Then it was the mindset. Then it was the ability to learn. Then it was God. It was getting closer to God. And now it is trying to find a way to make money off of this stuff, to monetize it, to monetize self-improvement. I made a lot of progress before I have even earned any money. But to me, that is worth it. Because if you were to see me in the past and me now, it's two different individuals. It's two different people. And maybe I could sometimes get too caught up in, not having the success I want to have, it being so long and still not reaping any physical results. But the only way to curb this feeling and to allow it to pass is to reflect on how much better you've become since then. You know, I am someone that my mind was always racing, always had too many thoughts. I used to stay up late, couldn't sleep, couldn't fall asleep because of my thoughts. Now I have so much more of a clear mind. And this all came from bettering my mindset, being a more positive person, meditating, getting closer to God. Look how much progress that is in itself. I was someone that was very skinny, that couldn't even see a physique with muscle on them, skin and bone. But guess what happened? I was able to move past that and build a good physique and build a physique that I'm proud of for now. So why? Why did I ever doubt myself from the beginning? You know why you doubt yourself? Because you always feel like you're never good enough. You must stop doing this. You must stop thinking to yourself that you're not worthy of the things you want. If you put in the work every single day, one day you will achieve it. One day you will have what you want to have. I can only say this, and it goes back to my passion, working out, the physique. I couldn't control when I was going to have a good physique and a physique can be proud of. A physique where other people could look at me and say to themselves, yeah, this guy works out. You know how long that takes? That was the thing where I knew I kind of finally made it when it came to working out. It's funny because yes, it is bad. It is an outside validation. But the first time I heard that, oh, do you work out? That made me truly happy because for so long I was known as a skinny guy. And one time, finally, someone asked me, oh, you look like you work out. or they said you look like you work out. So I'm able to say this because I've had that experience of doubting myself and coming through on the other end. Yeah, I don't have a lot of money. Yeah, I don't have the business working or off the ground, but I've accomplished it once and I'll accomplish it in these other two avenues. So, will I let self doubt dictate my actions any further when I just reflected on myself and realized that I was able to do something? I remember when I first started reading. Reading. I hadn't read a book by myself my whole life. When you're a kid, you probably read. I probably read some comic books, some graphic novels, whatever. But I never read a chapter book on my own accord. It was only ever through school. When I first got a book that I wanted to read, I doubted myself that I would even finish it. Now I've read 80 books. I've read 80 books. The doubt doesn't matter. What matters is the work. You cannot control the results and how you'll get there, but you can control the work. There's people, we see it all the time, social media. There's people that are successful at 20 years old. There's people that are successful at 17. There's people that are successful at 30. Jelly Roll is a perfect example of this. He won New Artist of the Year at, I think it was 39 or 40 years old. There's plenty of other artists that made it at a young age, 17, 18. But I know for a fact, I don't know his story, but if he let the self doubt win, he would never be in the position he would be in today. He would have never won that award. He would have never been making good music that people are listening to today. So, my friend, if you're listening to this, you need to stop doubting yourself. You need to fill your day with the tasks that are going to get you to that goal that you are seemingly always doubting yourself with. And then once your day is filled with those tasks, there is no more room to doubt yourself. You're going to be too focused on the work, and one day it's going to happen. For so long, I was always thinking about the rewards. Oh, one day I'm going to have this. One day I'm going to have this nice house. One day I want to live out of the country, whatever the case may be. But what is me doing for myself? It's just dreaming. It's just thinking about the rewards. Now I am starting to be more productive. And one day that's just going to happen. Those things are going to come. That is the number one thing you could do is start focusing on the work and the tasks to get to the goal and stop thinking about the goal itself because it will come. It will happen. When I was posting content to get to 1,000 followers on Instagram, I was stuck at 200 followers for months and months and months and months. Eventually, I started posting consistently. When I started posting consistently, and I stopped thinking about the number of getting more followers, whatever the goal was at the time, I got more followers. Just because I was focused on the consistency and making sure that I was posting 2 videos every single day. That's what helped me. And I hope it will help you. Because I believe the worst emotion, the worst thing you could feel as a person is regret. And the roots of regret are self doubt. Each root is doubt. Do you want to live a life of regrets? Or do you want to live a life of fulfillment and accomplishments? Because self doubt definitely won't lead to success, accomplishments, accolades, fulfillment. It will not lead there. So remove it from your life. Cut it out of your life before it gets worse. Because as we grow older, if we let the doubt keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, we know people around us that always doubt themselves and they're older than us. It's because they never cut it out. They never cut it out from the beginning. Don't let this be you. I will no longer doubt myself in the things I want to achieve, and you won't either. I hope this podcast has helped you guys understand self doubt a little more, and I hope you guys will begin to remove it from your life so that you can achieve the goals you want to achieve. This has been the Insightful Podcast, episode 11. We discuss self doubt, and we hope to change our ways to not let it be in our lives anymore. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Insightful Podcast. Take care.